Poon, and my guest today is Vickie Griffith. Vickie, how are you?
I am fabulous, thank you. And you?
I'm great, thank you.
Good.
Um, Vickie, I know that you do a few things, right? You handle, but mostly what you do, and you're very good at, is self no, not self hypnosis,
Correct.
right?
Yes.
So that you can help people whether they're struggling with their weight or smoking or struggling to make enough money,
Right.
right? So, and we're going to talk about that. So hang on tight because first of all, it's what is your milk crate moment?
My milk crate moment. And if you're in business for a while, you might have many, which I have experienced.
Me too. Me too.
And that's why I've been on twice because I'm an overachiever. So I get to have many of them. Was when my business was struggling and I was doing all the right things. I was doing all the things the coaches told me to do, and I was doing them over and over again. I was working really hard. I was worried, and stressed out all the time. And it dawned on me one of those evenings when I was up at 2 or 3 in the morning, pacing the floors, that this struggle, this feeling of struggle in business was familiar to me.
Mm,
But not because of my struggle, but because I watched both of my grandparents, my grandfathers both had their own businesses. One of them was a well digger. The other one actually picked up cardboard. This is way before recycling at the grocery stores and the retail stores in these small cities and took it to the garbage dump. And both of them, I watched the worry and the stress and the fights with their spouses. Now, this was nothing that was ever said to me, but I watched them struggle. So when I got into business, I assumed that that's the way it had to be. And
mm.
that's when I did something different.
Well, so let's talk about that before we get to the something different part,
Okay,
because I
sure.
think a lot of entrepreneurs do struggle with that. And it is, now that you said that, I'm like literally flashing back because my mom was an entrepreneur and she struggled her entire career, right?
Mhm.
But back then, when your grandparents were working and when my mom was working, there were no mentors, there were no people to show you how to get out of the struggle and get into the money, right?
Right.
So, and thank God we have that now because otherwise I would have never stopped struggling myself. And I can't wait to dig into this a little bit deeper with what you're saying. So tell me a little bit more about um, tell me a little bit more about why you feel like there is a connection before we go to the answer. Why do you feel there was a connection between your grandfathers and what you were going through?
Well, most of us don't want to believe, but what I've experienced in over 20 years of practice and through my own self discovery, just like this one, that our parents and grandparents, and even further out in our family or other people we have respect for, impact our decisions about ourselves and our view of what that might look like. So, in other words, for me, my assumption was by watching them that if you were in business on your own, you struggled. Struggled financially, you struggled in your relationships, you struggled with your family. It was just all this ball tangled up, and that impacts us energetically and in our mindset. And it influences us on decision making and habits. And a lot of times we don't even know it. It's just sly. It's in the background, and it's keeping us stuck in a place of unproductive or hiding or pushing too hard, struggling too hard because of that experience growing up. So that's where it all comes from. It's childhood experiences that we don't even know is impacting us on a day-to-day basis.
Well, and I think too that if we think about it and we look at our DNA, because I do believe all of that trauma and
Hmm.
drama is in our DNA from our mothers, our grandmothers, our great grandmothers, all the way back to who knows where.
Right.
Right? We're carrying that DNA. Otherwise, they would never be able to track where we came from, right?
True.
So
Right.
And because we have that DNA that can go back generations upon tens of hundreds of generations, we're carrying all of that stuff around that we don't even know about. And we
Right.
might know better, but our body's telling us differently.
Right.
Isn't that crazy?
Yeah, it's hard, I think, for a lot of people to grasp because we want to think that we're our own thinker. That especially, I don't know about you, Jean, but I love my mom dearly. But when there's things that I say that I'm like, oh my gosh, my mom said that, it really disturbs me a bit because we all want to think that we're our own person.
Right.
And mannerisms, even, there's my dad used to do this all the time. And there's a tapping technique I've learned where you do use some of these purposeful tips or techniques in your fingertips. But he used to do it intuitively. And I find myself sometimes just doing that intuitively too, because I watched him do it. So it's it's fascinating and interesting to me. Our behaviors and our thought patterns and our belief systems can be generational, and it's impacting us on a daily life that we don't even realize.
I think it is fascinating, right, to understand that. And then, so now I want to know, well, let's move forward a little bit because I want to know how you took that information from both, and it wasn't just one grandfather, right? You've got both grandfathers who are struggling. So it's coming from both sides of your DNA, right?
Mhm.
From mom and from dad, and all of what's going on in the past. All right, how did you fix that?
Well, first, number one, with any change, it's awareness. So the aha of, oh my gosh. And I used to go with my grandfathers when they were working, sometimes when my parents were working and they couldn't afford childcare. So I would go to the dump with my grandfather, or I would go out to a house to watch him drill a well. So I was kind of intimate with these two as well, watching them in their business. And so first was awareness, like, oh my gosh. And it was a huge awareness. It was like, oh my gosh, this is incredible. I am still continuing this genetic pattern, as you said, in the DNA. How do I stop it?
Right.
And I found several different methods to do that. One of them is hypnosis. So I learned a ton about hypnosis, and I had been learning since I was 16. So it wasn't a new theory for me, but I learned about hypnosis and how to switch my voice to my voice rather than those voices in my head about what I assumed a business was supposed to be like. And another real practical technique that seems really silly, but the silly ones work. I'm just saying, I'm a left brain, ran $1 million department stores. Left brain people are like, that shouldn't work. And this does. It works all the time. And it's a visualization techniques. Hypnosis is a visualization technique, but it's very quick and simple. And I basically unplugged that cord, that thought from my body. Now that sounds a little odd. Some people think of energy attached even to people who are deceased as a cord to our body. You can do one of two things. You can cut it, remove it, but I choose to absolutely remove it. This is even for people who are alive in our lives now.
Sure.
You have one of those clients that is just getting on your nerves. There's an energetic cord coming to you, and you can actually just unplug them.
Who
I've had,
knew? Who
I've had,
knew?
I know, and I've had clients that I've had to do that with because they really wanted extra support. And although they weren't calling me, they weren't texting me, they weren't emailing me, I could feel their energy around them. So I just graciously unplugged them from my body, just like you're unplugging from an outlet.
Oh, that's so interesting. And what a great idea to put it in there to actually just unplug that out,
Mhm.
right? So just kind of turn it off, right?
Right.
But when you remove the cord, there's no way there's no way somebody can just walk by and flip it back on.
Only you. Only you.
Exactly. So tell us a little bit about that. Tell us a little bit more about the hypnosis part, because I do think, you know what I think is I hear it all the time that people are afraid of hypnosis, that you are going to put something into their heads that they don't want to. It's mind control. It is going to make them bark like a dog or quack like a duck or whatever that is. And tell us what hypnosis really is and what it really does for somebody when they're afraid. And it's so funny that something so simple, people are really afraid of this.
They can be really afraid of it. And everything that you just said is a myth. I cannot make you do anything. You are really good at self-hypnosis. That's what it is. It's all self-hypnosis. I am a facilitator. I've learned some techniques to help you move through things quicker and faster.
Mhm.
And for most of us, we need an authority figure to tell us what to do and how to change, myself included. So I make my own recordings, but it seems more important if someone else shares with me what might be the next step. So self-hypnosis is, Jan, have you ever driven someplace that you've driven there often and got there and went, oh, I wonder if I stopped at that stop sign? Has that ever happened to you?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Most times I hadn't, but go ahead.
Most of I had. Oh, yeah, I bet you probably did.
I probably did.
You probably did. And that is an experience of hypnosis. And really what's happening is it's a switch of focus. You switched your focus from your conscious mind that's watching for all those stop signs. Because you've done it so many times, you just automatically knew to stop there. And your subconscious mind was taking the control, basically taking the wheel as you're thinking about all the other stuff that you need to do that day, or the grocery list on the way to the grocery store. So it's something you're doing already. Unfortunately, for most of us, we're using it to harm and defer our goals rather than learning how to use it so that we are achieving our goals without working hard, without pushing yourself to do it, because we all have willpower, right? You can all will ourselves to do something for a short period of time.
Right.
But this changes how you look at it so that you don't have to use your willpower to move forward towards your goal. It's just so fascinating because it becomes easy. It becomes a no-brainer. It's just, I just do it. I don't have to think about it. I don't have to struggle with it. I don't have to make a plan for it. Although business plan, having a plan is a good idea in health or otherwise in business, but I don't have to actually put down on paper and tick off every box because I just do it without regret, without guilt, without remorse or fear. And truthfully, most business owners operate out of fear. They do something because they're afraid if they don't.
Right.
That FOMO, that fear of missing out.
Or they don't do something because they're afraid that they can't.
Right.
Or they don't do something because they're afraid that it'll all just explode and they could never handle the amount of business that they could possibly get. So they just don't start because they're good. I can't handle that kind of business, so I'm not even going to start.
Right.
It is so crazy what we tell ourselves.
Oh, it is crazy. And I actually had a conversation like that this morning in a networking group. She was like, I'm really, really busy, but I don't want to hire employees. I'm like, you don't have to hire employees. Well, what do you mean? I said, you can hire contractors. That way you control what they do. You tell them what they do and you take, you pay them a certain degree. Well, like, yeah, but. And she kept saying, but, yeah, but. And I'm like, yeah, and yeah, but. And I would give her the opposite of what she was saying. So finally she said, yeah, maybe, which was a whole lot better than yeah, but.
Right.
So, and she's going to stay at this certain income level if she doesn't, and she's going to burn herself out if she doesn't hire somebody to help her. They don't have to be an employee. So we think about those type of things too. Well, I don't want to pay payroll if business goes crazy, or, what is my mom going to say? I've actually had clients who were concerned about what their parents would say when they started making over 6 figures a year or more.
Isn't it crazy that when I had told my mom, this is what I'm going to start doing, her immediate, no, she's been gone for 12 or 13 years, right? But her immediate response was, you're never going to do that, right? You're never going to. And she never did. But you know what? I have. right? So I love this topic so much. So all right, so let's go in and talk about how did you, through the help self-hypnosis, how did that impact your business then?
Well, how that impacted my business is I did invest in myself. So I felt worthy enough to invest in myself. I did hire a coach. I've had several coaches, fabulous ones. You were one of them. And so thank you so much. I appreciate you and adored our time together and still work together, which is really fun as well. So that was a huge leap for me to feel worthy enough to invest in me and my business
Awesome.
rather than trying to go on a shoestring. There's nothing wrong with going on a shoestring. I've done it for many years. However, it's a level of mindset that that's the way business has to be done, and that's not true. So that was one of the first things. I changed my mindset through using self-hypnosis and this energetic technique of unplugging myself from any of the family baggage that I felt I was still carrying and trying to prove right and trying to prove that I was still, I guess, part of the family by proving that I had to suffer in business too, when both of those grandparents have passed several, like you said, several years ago.
Wow.
So sometimes we get in that mode too. We keep trying to prove these disheartening, hurtful belief systems that aren't even ours true for somebody else.
We are a wildly wonderful, wicked, wrongfully whatever group of people, right? So, if we can be, I mean, people can just be there, this incredibly in tune, aware, have full consciousness of
Right.
what they're doing, and then others really don't understand that and won't take that opportunity to even improve themselves a little because of fear. So I'm just fascinated by this topic here today, and I'm so grateful that you agreed to come back. So let me ask you, and I'm sure I asked you the first time, and I'm going to ask you again. What is, as we leave today, what is the one piece of entrepreneurial advice you can give to someone?
Invest in yourself by investing in your business. Understand your worthiness. And if you even have an inkling of owning, operating, enjoying a business, it was something that was given to you far beyond you, some kind of higher power, whatever you call that, whispering to you because you have something someone else needs and they will buy it from you so that they can feel better. There's nothing better than helping a client break through. That's why my name of my business is Breakthrough. Have ahas so they can have a better life, whatever it may be, relationships, their health, their weight, business, making money, any of those type of things, because that is a true gift God has provided for me. And to hide from it would be selfish.
I agree with you. Listen, you have a special gift, and I'm going to drop it in a minute, so people have to stick around because this is where I get to do a little plug for the Second Act Conference. It's, excuse me, that's coming up October 25th, 26th, and 27th. I hope you'll come, Vickie. It's all about that woman in her second act, and I know you're right there with me in your second act.
Mm-hmm.
And it's for business owners who really want to. There's a few things that we've determined that women in their second act, women business owners in their second act want. They want to make more money. They don't want to rely on Social Security. And listen, I just looked at our Social Security when they send the little things out. We will be taking a 75% pay cut when my husband decides to retire and go on Social Security. They want more wealth. They want more clients. They want more health. And they also want more impact, right? We have a lot in our second act. We have a lot that we want to share with people, right? And listen, you can go to secondactevent.com, secondactevent.com, get all of the information. It's going to be live and in person. And you'll be able to meet a lot of the people that I have had here on the Milk Crate Moment podcast, because if you've been paying attention, it's a lot of amazing women that are going to be there. So, Vickie, I'm going to drop your link now to tell us a little bit about it. Whoops, there we go. Tell us what they're getting.
Well, the funny thing is when I was a child, And I would be at the grocery store, for instance, and I would ask mom for a candy bar. She would say, "We can't afford it. Money doesn't grow on trees."
Oh,
Now,
interesting.
later, I realized that money really does grow on trees and bushes because our dollar bill in the United States is made out of cotton and trees, wood pulp. So money does really grow on trees. We need to change our mindset about it. So I created this self hypnosis recording to help people overcome their money belief system so that they can create the abundance they want and have the dreams and lifestyle that they want.
I'm gonna I'm not gonna lie, I'm laughing about that because I literally can picture I would have had I said that to my mom, "Well, mom, actually money does go on trees." I literally would have been picking myself up off the floor, right? So I can feel it now, right?
You can feel that slap on the face. Huh?
Oh, oh yeah, and it would have, yeah, but no, mom, actually money does grow on trees. I'm gonna laugh about that the rest of the day because now I know, and you know that money does grow on trees. Vickie, thank you so much for being here and coming back again to share another amazing milk crate moment because you're absolutely right. As entrepreneurs, we don't just get one, right? We get one. If we're lucky, we only get one a week. If we're lucky,
That
we
is so true.
have a milk crate moment that we could share. And if you have a milk crate moment you would like to share, please reach out to me at jean@jeankuhn.com and let's get you on milk crate moments to share your milk crate moment with other entrepreneurs. Have a great day, everybody. Thanks, Vickie.
Thank you.